Black people, one of the largest ethnic groups in the world, have a rich history documented even in the Holy Scriptures. Surprisingly, the Bible talks about the origins of African people, including their melanin kings and queens. In this video, you will discover fun facts about the biblical ancestors of Black and African peoples. Please leave your likes, comments, and subscribe to the channel. According to the Holy Scriptures, all current peoples are descendants of Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This also applies to Black people and other ethnic groups with dark skin, whose Hamite lineage originates from Ham, one of Noah's sons. Ham is the brother of Shem and Japheth, who respectively represent the Semitic peoples, Arabs, Jews, Syrians, etc., and the Pethites, Europeans, and Asians. The term Hamites or Amit originally referred to people descended from Ham or Cham, one of Noah's sons. Ham, the son of Noah, is recognized as the ancestor of African and Black peoples in the Bible. His name is always associated with Africa, and, in fact, the Book of Psalms places him as the ancestor of the ancient Egyptians. It is interesting to note that, in antiquity, rabbinical traditions, ancient tales of the Jewish people, and other ancient traditions always identified him as the ancestor of African peoples. Furthermore, all interpretations of Ham's children point to African countries and regions. It is curious that the name Ham itself in Hebrew, Aramaic, and other ancient languages means burned or dark, in reference to the skin tone of his descendants. In chapter 10 of the book of Genesis, between verses 6 and 14, it is possible to obtain more information about the lineage of Ham, also known as the Hamite peoples. The text presents Ham's descendants: Cush, the father of several African peoples, and Mizraim, the father of the ancient Egyptians. It is important to mention that Arabs, Jews, Syrians, and other peoples refer to Egypt as Mizraim in reference to its originator. Other sons of Ham are Put, also known as Phut, and Canaan, who is the father of the Canaanites, not the Africans. It is essential to understand that Canaan represents a distinct region and people. The sons of Cush include Havilah, Seba, Sabta, Rama, Sheba, and Nimrod. At the beginning of his reign, Babel, among other cities, was part of his domain. Nimrod, an ancestor of the native peoples of ancient Babylon, left for Assyria, where he founded 2 or 3 cities. Furthermore, Mizraim was the ancestor of the Ludites, who are North African peoples such as the Anamites, Lehabites, Naphtuites, Patricites, and Casluhites. From these descended the Philistines and Caphtorites. Ham's firstborn son, Mizraim, gave rise to many nations and peoples, including the people of Ethiopia. All Ethiopians are descended from Cush, as are the people of Nubia, also known in antiquity as the Kingdom of Cush. These are the main nations and peoples spawned by Cush. They are not limited to Cush and Nubia. Nimrod, the rebellious son of Cush, is considered the progenitor of the people of Samaria. Furthermore, the peoples of South India, including those native to the region, are believed to be of Cush descent, as are many other Africans such as Malians, Eritreans, Kenyans, Congolese, and Bantus from Gabon. The term Cush is frequently associated with Ethiopia, Sudan, and Africa in the Bible, and its literal meaning is Ethiopia or black. Cush was also the father of Canaan and Mizraim or Mizrahi. Mizrahi is considered the ancestor of the ancient Egyptians and many North African peoples, including the Berbers and the dark-skinned Tuaregs. It is intriguing to note that all Semitic peoples, such as the Arameans, Arabs, and Israelites, refer to Egypt as Mizrahi. This designation is used in several ancient languages, such as Aramaic, Arabic, and Hebrew. In the book of Psalms, chapter 78, verse 51, it is mentioned that Mizrahi, the son of Ham, smote all the firstborn in Egypt, the first fruits of manhood. Besides Mizrahi, Ham also had a son named Put or Phut. An interesting curiosity is that the name Put or Phut originates from the word that means landmark and is a reference to tribal hunters in Africa. Put is considered the father of the native Black Libyans of Libya, as well as several other African peoples. Now, regarding the famous curse of Ham, or recursively, Canaan, Many people in antiquity misinterpreted the curse described in the book of Genesis, chapter 9. The text mentions that after Noah got drunk, his son Ham did not help him, and instead told his other brothers that their father was naked and drunk to mock him. However, there is more than one interpretation of this text, but it is not the focus of this video. Noah placed a curse specifically on one of Ham's sons, namely Canaan. It may seem like an exaggeration on Noah's part, but during that time, the relationship of respect towards the father was considered almost sacred. Although Noah's actions, getting drunk in this way, might seem inappropriate, interpretations of these texts suggest that Noah accidentally became intoxicated. When cultivating grapes, an act that had never been done before, he may have discovered wine and inadvertently got drunk without realizing it. This could be why God does not punish him. It is worth mentioning that Ham and his other 3 children, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, are originally from African peoples. Importantly, it is crucial to emphasize that black peoples were not cursed. Rather, it was Canaan, the father of the Canaanites who inhabited the Middle East, who received Noah's curse, not the African peoples. Interpreting the biblical text as if African peoples had been cursed is a serious error and a false interpretation. The curse falls on Canaan, the ancestor of the Canaanite peoples. It is essential to clarify that Ham is the ancestor of all African and South Indian peoples. He lived a remarkably long life because he was born before the flood, allowing him to witness even the 5th and 6th generations of his family and ancestry. Interestingly, just as Shem lived to be approximately 600 years old, there is a possibility that Ham also lived around that age or even longer, although there is no precise confirmation of his exact age, as the biblical texts do not provide this information. It is presumable that he reached the 600-year-old mark like his brother. The location of Ham's tomb is not definitively known, but according to some theories and studies, it may be in the Ethiopian region or even in Nubia. Others claim that he is buried in Mesopotamia, in the land of the Sumerians. However, many agree that Ham's tomb is in Africa, more precisely in Sudan or Ethiopia. Some even suggest that he could be buried in Egypt, which adds an intriguing layer to the mystery, given Egypt's rich history and the ongoing discoveries of people buried 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. The Book of Jubilees provides us with additional information about Ham's old age and events involving Noah's family and the 3 lineages: the lineage of Ham, the lineage of Shem, and the lineage of Japheth. This ancient Jewish manuscript reports that Ham completely disapproved of his youngest son Canaan's decision to dwell in the land of Shem, which is now known as Israel. Canaan's choice to claim those lands for himself did not align with Ham's wishes. According to the Book of Jubilees, Cush and Mizrahi, the brothers of Canaan, along with their father Ham, expressed disapproval of Canaan's decision to dwell in the land of Shem, the region that corresponds to modern-day Israel. Similar to Ham, they disagreed with Canaan's attitude and went to him, ordering him to leave that land. They believed that African lands were reserved for the descendants of Ham. However, Canaan disobeyed, continuing to dwell in the land and ignoring the will of his father and his brothers, Mizrahi and Cush. The Book of Jubilees further relates that Ham was the founder of the first city and the first province after the flood. He named the city after his dear wife, Nialtamuk. Thank you to everyone who has watched it thus far. Please leave your like. It is very important. Share the video so that other people can watch it and subscribe to the channel. See you soon. Welcome to Documentary Pulse. If you have ever wondered about the origin of the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans, the people with drawn eyes, we will reveal to you the origin of Asians according to the Bible. What is the origin and who is the ancestral father of these peoples? Japanese, Chinese, Mongolians, and Koreans. Who in the Bible gave origin to the Asian peoples? Stay with me and you'll see. I ask that if you like our series, leave your like and share the video because it helps our channel a lot. And if you want to help even more, leave your comment, your opinion about the origin of Asian peoples. Say what you think about the biblical origin based on Genesis chapter 10. Without further ado, let's go to another video from our series, the origin of peoples according to the Bible. Asian peoples, no doubt, have always aroused interest, whether for their art, culture, or even martial arts. However, the origin of this people is a question. According to the sacred scriptures of the Bible, there are statements about the origin of Asian peoples, revealing who their parent is and the source of the Asian factor. First, to address the ancestry of Asian peoples, it is necessary to understand the origin of the name Asia. This name has its roots in Greek mythology, where Asia was the wife of Japetus. It is interesting to note the similarity between the name Japetus and the name Japheth, the son of Noah. In fragments and traces of various mythologies, elements of true biblical history have been preserved over time. Therefore, in the tales and narratives passed down from generation to generation, the names of Noah's wives and his 3 children may have been retained. From this perspective, it is possible to affirm that the name of Japheth's wife was probably something similar to Asia. Thus, Asia gave origin to the Asian peoples. Linguistically, she may be referred to as Hyaphet, or Japheth's wife. Consequently, the Asian factor has its origin in Japheth's wife, who gave rise to the Europeans. There is a video available about the origin of the European peoples, specifically the white peoples of ancient Europe. The link to the playlist can be found in the description. Now that we know who the ancestral mother of Asians is, we must determine who the father of Asians is. The ancestral father of the Asians is one of the sons or grandchildren of Japheth, who possessed the Asian ethnicity inherited from Japheth's wife. Gomer, the son of Japheth, is the one who undoubtedly married one of his sisters to increase the population of the planet. Gomer's wife unquestionably inherited the Asian factor from her grandmother, Japheth's wife. Gomer had 3 sons: Ashken, the father of the peoples of Scandinavia and Europe; Griffith, the father of the Celtic Iberian Peninsula, among several other peoples. Finally, we now find out who the father of the Asians is. The 3rd son of Gomer and grandson of Noah, Togarmah. And he is the father of Asians, the ancestor of all Asians. With distinct Asian characteristics, such as distinctive drawn eyes, the confirmation lies in the etymology and meanings of the name Togarmah. In ancient Assyrian, it signifies domineering. In Hebrew, it means broken, or in Phoenician, suggesting pulled or broken. Notably, its etymology discreetly alludes to the characteristic of pulled eyes. Therefore, Togarmah is identified as the father of the Asian peoples. Further evidence is found in the book of Ezekiel, specifically in chapter 38, verses 6, where it becomes evident that Togarmah is the progenitor of many peoples from the far north. The house of Togarmah, situated in the recesses of the north, is described with numerous troops and peoples. The descendants of Togarmah mentioned by Ezekiel include the Chinese, Mongols, Japanese, Koreans, and Turks. This establishes a connection between these diverse Asian groups through their common ancestry with Togarmah. The genetic makeup of Asians, characterized by withdrawn eyes and other traits, serves as proof of the relationship between Asians and Europeans. Despite the geographical distance, the fair skin of Asians is a significant indicator of this kinship. Remarkably, scientific studies reveal that certain Asian populations share a portion of genetic material with European peoples. This leads to the intriguing question: which Asian people are closely related to the European peoples, sharing a portion of European DNA? The answer lies in a particular Asian group that maintains a close genetic relationship with Europeans, underscoring the kinship between Europeans, or Indo-Europeans, and Asians. The people in question are the Xiongnu, also known as Shonu. The Xiongnu were a Chinese tribe that, according to Chinese sources, inhabited the Asian steppes in the 7th to 8th century BC. Analysis of the mitochondrial DNA of the Xiongnu reveals that they possessed approximately 88% Asian heritage and 12% European heritage. The Shonu serve as a genuine genetic link between European and Asian peoples, providing evidence of their shared ancestry despite geographical distance. This genetic connection can be traced back to Japheth, his wife, and Gomer's grandsons, including Togarmah, along with his 2 other brothers, Rafat and Ashkenaz. The transmission of Asian genetics can be observed from Japheth's wife to her grandson, Togarmah, who ultimately gave rise to the diverse peoples of Asia belonging to numerous nations. This aligns with the prophecy of blessing given to Japheth, foretelling that his descendants would be enlarged, multiplied, and of great stature. Notably, China, the most populous country in the world, plays a significant role in this genetic connection. Another intriguing character mentioned in Holy Scriptures is Sin, also known as Sani. Interestingly, the name Sin bears resemblance to various terms in different languages, including the Hebrew pronunciation, which is sin and can be interpreted as clay peak or mud. Some suggest it may also have the meaning of moon. Sin, the son of Canaan, was one of the 11 sons of Canaan, who, in turn, is the son of Ham, a descendant of Noah. Thus, Sin was one of Noah's grandsons. He is indirectly portrayed in the Bible through his descendants, known as the Sinites or Sinites. Another intriguing aspect regarding Sin, the son of Canaan and grandson of Ham, is the possibility that, similar to what happened in Greek mythology with Japheth, fragments of true biblical history about Sin may have entered Mesopotamian mythology over time. In Mesopotamian mythology, he was deified with the title of the God of Laws, proclaiming him as the lawgiver of the heavens and the earth. An interesting circumstance arises as some of Sin's descendants reportedly traveled to southern Arabia and settled a region later known as Sinai. This association with law and justice may have contributed to a tradition linking Sinai as the place of origin of the law, possibly influencing God's choice to designate Mount Sinai as the location for delivering the Ten Commandments. It is believed that the Sinites, identified as the people of Sin, or the Chinese, originated in a coastal town north of Phoenicia called Sim. Remarkably, the Sinites were not among the Canaanite tribes mentioned in Joshua with the divine command to be destroyed. This omission might be due to the prefix Sin referring to the Proto-Chinese settlement in the east or the lands of Sinir. According to ancient Jewish beliefs and traditions mentioned in the Book of Jubilees, it is suggested that the curse of Canaan did not affect one of his sons, and Sin would be the ancestor of the ancient Proto-Chinese people. This is supported by the fact that the Sinites or Sinians did not inhabit the land of Canaan, which was not considered theirs. Stay updated on the channel for more videos related to the origins of various peoples based on Genesis chapter 10, which describes the descent of the children of Noah. Feel free to leave a comment suggesting which peoples you would like to be represented in the next videos. See you soon. Europe is a vast continent full of people. Have you ever wondered about the biblical origin of European peoples? All European peoples have their own origin, and if you are curious about this, know that there is interesting genealogical information. Discover right now the origin of the white peoples, the European peoples, according to the sacred scriptures. Europe is home to many countries, including Germany, Austria, Poland, Hungary, France, Italy, Romania, among others. Did you know that the sacred scriptures mention the origins of European peoples? Biblical texts cite the names of the ancestral ancestors of certain European peoples in chapter 10 of Genesis. If you didn't know, the sacred scriptures are sources that interpret these texts, taking into account the symbolism presented, the origins, regions, and countries of characters and peoples. In the case of European peoples, we find several mentioned in the sacred scriptures, but mainly the Greek people and the Macedonian people, who are direct descendants of one of the sons of Japheth. With this, we already have an idea of who is the ancestor of the European peoples. Just as Javan, son of Japheth, is considered the ancestor of the Greeks, so we may infer that Japheth, according to ancient genealogies, Jewish interpretations, and other books, and the general opinion of ancient Semitic peoples, is the origin of Europeans. All these sources point to Japheth, son of Noah. The name Japheth has meanings such as beautiful, pale, enlargement, or simply multiplication. Biblically, European peoples are called Japhethite peoples or Javanite peoples. Additionally, linguistically, the European language family, including English, German, Russian, Ukrainian, and several others, is also known as the Japheth language family, in reference to the ancestor of the European peoples. The sacred scriptures address the ancestors of European peoples in chapter 10 of the book of Genesis, and also in the book of Chronicles. In them, we find Japheth's lineage, his 7 sons, and his grandsons. Through the names of Japheth's sons and grandsons, we can decipher the origins of ancient Europeans. In antiquity, the Israelites themselves called the European peoples Japhethites, as well as Javanites, referring specifically to the region of Greece as Javanites or simply sons of Javan. In the book of Genesis, we find the names of each of these children. From now on, I will be mentioning the name of each one of them. These were the descendants of Japheth: Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. And these were the sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Rephath, and Togarmah. These were the sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. The biblical identification of Ashkenaz as an ancestor of the Germanic peoples is a curious and interesting description still present among Jews to this day. Ashkenazi Jews refer to regions, including Germany and other Germanic regions, as Ashkenazic because of the ancestor of the Germanic peoples. This ancestor gave rise to the Germanic people, including the Germans themselves. In addition to Ashkenaz, there is also the biblical character called Rephath. According to ancient interpretations and the consensus of the Irish themselves, who are direct descendants of the Celtic peoples, they concluded that Rephath is the biblical ancestor of the Celtic peoples. Rephath, son of Gomer and grandson of Japheth, is the ancestor of the Celtic peoples, also known as Celts. Celtic tribes scattered across Europe are direct descendants of Rephath, son of Gomer and grandson of Japheth. In addition to the descendants of Rephath, we find other sons of Japheth always related and seen as European peoples or regions of Europe, or peoples genetically related to Europeans. For example, there is the mention of Madai in the biblical text, interpreted as one of the sons of Japheth, referring to the nations that settled in the region of Iran, the Aryan or Iranian peoples. Biblically, the people called Medes are represented by the NATO Persians. Note the similarity between the terms Mado and Madai, due to the origin of these peoples. Madai was the progenitor of the Madai tribes, which include the NATO Persians, the Parthians, and many other peoples of ancient Persian ancestry, all of whom traced their Madai origins through Madai, son of Japheth. Another name that calls our attention in Genesis 10 verse 2 is the name Magan. We also have the names Tubal and Meshech. Tubal and Meshech are considered the ancestors of Russian, Ukrainian, and other Slavic peoples. Slavic peoples are considered descendants of 3 biblical characters. It is a consensus among scholars of biblical genealogies and nations that Russia and Ukraine are the lands of Gomer and Magog, as Tubal and Meshech are their biblical ancestors. This understanding is crucial for comprehending apocalyptic prophecies present in the books of Revelation, Daniel, Ezekiel, Isaiah, and other texts of the sacred scriptures. It is important to be acquainted with each of these peoples, their names, and their ancestors. For example, Magog, Tubal, and Meshech are the biblical ancestors of the Slavic peoples, while Ashkenaz is considered the father of the Germanic peoples. It is crucial not to confuse the Germanic peoples with the Slavic peoples. The biblical character Tiras draws attention in the sacred scriptures and is considered the ancestor of the Italian peoples, particularly due to his relationship with the Etruscans. The Etruscans form part of the ancestry of the ancient Italians and the ancient Romans, descendants of the Etruscans and other Javanite peoples. Speaking of Javan, son of Japheth, he not only gave rise to the Greek peoples, but also to other peoples related to Greeks who were not Greeks but had a connection with them. It is fascinating to note that the names of the sons of Japheth have linguistic similarities, although there are differentiations due to Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic. These names bear a striking resemblance with linguistic variations, attributed to the event at Babel, where different languages originated, due to the wickedness of men, according to biblical tradition. According to the narrative, there was a common language known as the Edomite language, spoken by the first human beings, descendants of Adam and Eve. However, currently, the world exhibits great linguistic diversity, with thousands of different languages spoken across the planet, each with its own history and evolution. An example is modern Greek, which is spoken in Greece today. Modern Greek is a variant of ancient Greek, spoken for thousands of years since classical antiquity. Over the centuries, Greek has undergone transformations and changes in its structure and vocabulary, resulting in the form known today. Among the children of Javan, Elisha is identified as the ancestor of the Greek or Hellenic peoples. Elisha, the grandson of Japheth and son of Javan, gave rise to the original Greeks. The linguistic similarity between Elisha and the word Hellenes is evident not only in English but also in Hebrew, and of course, in the Greek language. Another son of Javan that arouses curiosity is Tarshish, mentioned several times in the sacred scriptures. Tarshish is considered the ancestral father of the Tartessians, the first inhabitants of the Iberian Peninsula. The Portuguese and Spaniards are descendants of Tarshish, although they have other Japheth ancestries. In a mixture with Semitic peoples, they are originally considered descendants of Tarshish, the Tartessians. Tarshish is described as the son of Javan and grandson of Japheth. Another son of Javan, called Kittim, is always associated with the island of Cyprus. Therefore, the Cypriots are descended from Kittim, one of the sons of Javan. The fourth son of Javan is called Dodanim. Some believe there was a transcription error, and he is actually Rodanim or simply Doranim due to linguistic differences. Dodanim is considered the ancestor of the Dardanoi, an ancient Trojan people. In summary, European peoples are direct descendants of Japheth and are referred to as Japheth peoples. Leave your comments on the subject and share the video if possible. See you soon.